What if you need to quickly see what's in a prop? What if you need to quickly tell where a piece of media is? Is there a way to do that all within ProPresenter? Yeah, actually there is. So let's stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, the advantages of different views within ProPresenter. Hi and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. And this is one of those things that I kind of noticed at my recent church. And I like, I don't think I've ever talked about that. So that's what we're going to do today. There are a couple of different things that, first off, sometimes people don't know that they exist whatsoever. And it can be very confusing. But other times there might be a better way to do what you need to do. So I thought that we would talk about just the different ways to view your slides, your media, and your props. So let's head over and take a look. So here we are in ProPresenter, and let's start here with the slides. So we've got three different views right here. You may not have known that there are three different views because you've just always left it on this grid view, which I've sometimes called the thumbnail view because that's basically what we're dealing with there. And so it looks just like this. Well, there is a similar view that is very helpful if you have trouble seeing. Maybe the text combination isn't great. Maybe you're someone of a certain age like I am, where what if you leave your readers at home? Or what if you really need to get to the eye doctor to get your bifocals? Whatever. Maybe even, and this is something that I haven't mentioned before, but maybe you're dyslexic and certain fonts are just harder for you to process than others. Well, if instead of using grid view you go over here to this capital T and you click on it, oh no, everything went away. Oh no. Well, look here. Whoa, that's all kinds of freaky. Paul, surely you didn't do that on purpose. Yeah, look at what it actually looks like. So why is it looking like that when I turn that on? Well, if I click on this little circle with the ellipsis in it, I can show or hide the media actions and background colors. I can change the background color of the slides. Really helpful if you have a light colored background and therefore you're using black text, and that just blends right in against this black and gray checker mark background. You can do that, or you can change the font. So let's say instead of Chalk Duster, I just find Arial Black easier to read. Well, I can just change it to Arial Black. Now, did that affect how my congregation sees it? Not even a little bit, because notice right there. Here, let me go to my congregation. Yeah, there we go. So this is actually also, this is a Apple Music like theme that I created, in case you haven't seen that tutorial. I'll put that on the same list with the little ebook that I'm going to make from today with all the notes in here just for your quick reference. Stick around to find out how to get that. But that's the advantage of Easy View, is it just makes it bigger and easier to see. I can click in here and I can change any of these settings, and it affects the interface, but it does not affect how the congregation sees it. I can change the color of the font. I can change the alignment. Truncate here is helpful, because if it's so big that there's basically you can't see all the words, well, you can cut it off at the beginning, You can cut it off in the middle, which is my preference, so that I know the first word and the last few words. Or you can cut it off at the end if you want. It's up to you. So I'm going to leave that the way that that is. So that is easy view mode, not easy mode, not, oh, it's broken and I need to reinstall it mode. That is, in fact, easy view mode. And by the way, one little tip, if you ever suspect that it's easy view mode and you've forgotten which icon it is down here, hold down the tilde, the button immediately underneath the escape key. Hold that down and it will temporarily move it back to grid view. So also a helpful feature for, let's say, you can make out all the slides, but there's one that's like, it's just a little too small or something. It's fine in the room, but on the ProPresenter interface, it's just difficult to read. You can temporarily hold that down, read it, and then when you're done, lift it up, and you're done. Now, to toggle between grid view and easy view, double tap the tilde. So, hear that? Double tap, and it goes back and forth. So that's also a great troubleshooting technique, is if you talk to someone and they're freaked out about how it looks, just have them hold down the tilde, and if it looks right to them, then say, okay, no problem, double tap that same button. And they'll be like, oh, it's fixed. Or in this case, I just did the opposite. So hold down the tilde, now it's on regular grid view. To fix it, double tap the tilde, you're done. So that's that view. Now let me show you this one. This is actually called table view. And there are a couple of advantages of it. Now the disadvantage is it takes up a lot of space. But the advantage is it's kind of a hybrid, so I can see what the thumbnail looks like, and I can see the text that is on the slide a little bit better. I can also see like some of the operator notes. I can see the slide notes, etc. All of that within here. So the disadvantages takes up a lot of space. The advantages, you can see additional information. So those are the three views here, but you might have already noticed that there are two views down here in the media area. First off, you can hide the media area by clicking the media button at the top, and that's a toggle, so click on it again to have it show up, whatever. So default, again, grid view. And with grid view, we can see a thumbnail of the media here. And we can also see, if I click on the table view, it has some additional information that you might really need. Like, sure, the name, maybe not all that helpful, but where it's located, helpful if... for some reason you need to locate it, you can just go there. You can also get that from the inspector, but this is good to know. This tells you the duration, and here, this shows you the transition if it's not the default transition. So I actually just added the cube spin, which is kind of, it's kind of like the Comic Sans or Papyrus, those two fonts that are way overused and designers tell you never to use them. It's kind of like that of transitions. So that's why it's kind of a little joke that I put that in there, because I would probably never use that unless I'm trying to look like the 1980s. And then we have format here, where this is an image, a JPEG. This is a video using the H.264 codec. And I thought that I also had a PNG in here. Maybe it's... Yep. So under announcements, those are all PNGs. So that's a little advantage to using that over the thumbnail or grid view if you want to. In both of those cases, you can change the size just by using this slider. Same thing up here. So a lot of advantages of using those different views. But now I thought that I would talk about the other two places where you could change this. So if I hide myself real quick, if we go here to the lower right hand corner, first off we go to props. Now I probably should say that they added this in the, as I'm recording this. This is December of 2025. I don't think this is actually going to come out until January of 2026. But as I'm recording this, they added this in like the last year or so. So if you're on a particularly old version, you may not have the ability to go from table view to grid view in your props. But if you do, notice that with grid view we have the name of all the props and a representation of kind of the way that they look. Some of these things just have like a placeholder thing here because there's some additional stuff that's going on, like this has a camera in it, etc. Now when it comes to grid view, notice we get exactly the same thing, only it takes up extra space. The only additional information is this prop has a clear after 5 seconds, but if I go to this, that is still there. So I really don't see any advantage for going to table view over grid view when it comes to props. Macros, on the other hand, there is an advantage, and you might see it already, that if you're in grid view, all you have is the color, the icon, and the title. But what is in this particular macro? I don't know. What's in this particular macro? Oh, I do see the exclamation point. Oh, invalid stage action. Really? What stage action is it? Well, you don't know. Now you can right click and edit to find out, but if instead you click on table view, here there's some additional information. Like for example, for the audio and countdown start that I have 4 different actions here. And also this is triggered with the calendar. So this is actually helpful information that if you don't know exactly what is in a macro, you can just hop over to table view here and see it really quickly. Now you don't know which message, for example, that's showing. Although if you do mouse over it, it's the new message. Helpful to actually enable or name them something that's descriptive, not just new message like I did there. But playlist, audio playlist for on line 1, and this is a custom control that is actually sending something to companion, and this is a an image here, and that starts at a certain time. It's actually what I use for my Church Tech U members when we do our weekly Q&A calls. If you're curious about those, just go to churchtechu, just the letter U.com, and then you can learn about that. But that's a helpful view there. So a lot of information that I shared today, and you might be thinking, well, that's all fine and good, Paul, but I really wish I had like a quick cheat sheet of that so that I can remember it later. No problem, I got your back. If you go to TDM.fyi/ProGifts, GIFTS, on the list of things there, I will have a a quick reference for the different views within ProPresenter so that you can make a decision and have that in your files for, hey, now which was what? You don't have to play around with it. You can just reference that. So that is that. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.